So first of all, congrats on the success of the movie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like a lot of people are enjoying it, so that's always really nice to hear.
Yeah. Well, and like the screening I went to a few weeks ago, like people were especially into it during like the rollerball scenes and like really
Yeah,
engaged and I think that that adds to the appeal of the movie. Like you're invested in Will's story and him and the rest of the team hopefully winning the game.
yeah. I think it really amps up the stakes of the movie, each one of those games. So it turned out really well, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad the audience felt that way during the viewing.
So my first question is one of the things I liked about Goat is how each animal moves specific to their species. So how did you approach each animal you animated?
Well, it comes to a lot of research, just like any animated shot. You have to do a lot of well for this movie specifically. For an example, Modo. I did a lot of research on Komodo dragons and how they move and act. Specifically, there was a shot I animated on the plane where Moto's kind of laying on the top of a chair. Originally I thought maybe we would just have him sitting kind of slunched over in the chair, but I thought that was a little too human-like. So I was kind of researching how lizards and Komodo dragons kind of sleep on tree branches and stuff like that. So it's not uh, necessarily just to Komodo dragons or anything like that, but I thought it was more of a lizard way to relax, to kind of be slunched over on the top of a chair like that. So that's kind of um, what we would do for each one of the characters. We would research how panthers would move or how gorillas would run, and it would be the same process for each different animal.
And well, you mentioned specifically Moto, who was my favorite character out of all of them,
Oh, glad to
and
hear.
and I thought like he had a very unique design because it was like full of piercings. Did that add an extra challenge to animating him?
Yes and no. There's some aspects of him that the animators were responsible for, and we needed to make sure, um, nothing was piercing through parts that it shouldn't be. But then we also have a great effect a cloth sim team and effects team that would kind of take care of a lot of the extra work, the dangly bits that would come off of him, and the clothes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely something that we had to keep an eye on. And then we also wanted to pose it and design it in a way that is appealing in each pose, because a lot of the times, those piercings and stuff would kind of be in a weird location. It wouldn't make the pose that great. So you kind of have to move it around to make sure each pose is as beautiful as possible.
And you mentioned like the effects team, like they're in the rollerball scenes in particular. There are so much effects going on related to like the specific stadium they're playing in. How much do you work with the effects department for those shots?
You know what? I can't speak specifically to the amount of work that went into it. I could imagine it was a tremendous amount, just because I know they work so hard, and each department does. But from an animation standpoint, we couldn't make our shots look half as good without them. So there's some elements that animators take part in terms of how different sections move. Say, if a character's on a piece of ice, we want to be able to control how that piece of ice is moving, or if the characters interacting with vines on the floor, or if different parts of the floor are moving up and down. We want to be able to control that. But from an effects standpoint, yeah, they put a tremendous amount into each arena, and it turned out looking beautiful. So I'm very, very proud of them as well.
Now, you've done with this, and you were also worked on K-pop Demon Hunters and Across Spider-Verse. So you've done a lot of stylized animation, but you've also worked with sort of a more traditional computer anime look with like the Sea Beast and other things. What would you say is like the primary difference between working between those specific styles?
Right. I think for something like Goat, where we really want to keep that 2D appearance to match the texturing. Each pose needs to be very graphic and something that you could pause and it could look like a drawing of this, um, almost from a comic book. Not necessarily more. I shouldn't say comic book. Comic book is more of the Spider Verse style, but still that 2D approach. We're really concentrating on silhouette value. So if a character was turning to the side in traditional CG animation, you might see like a lot of details of the inside of the mouth, and you might get the corner of an eye that you really don't want in there. So for a movie like Go, we really went in there and we thought, okay, this pose, how would we draw it? And we'd make sure it was the characters and expressions were posed out in a way that it was very graphic with clear lines. And actually, Moto's another great example of this. Is he had so many teeth, and you would rotate his head a certain way, and you'd see like the back part of his teeth, and we didn't want to do that. So there was a lot of time spent, really just controlling each tooth on each frame to make sure we're getting the perfect silhouette and pose. So I think when it comes to something um, more 2D grounded, you're really paying a lot of attention to what the pose would look like if you were to draw it. So that was our approach with Goat.
And I just mentioned that you worked on K-pop Demon Hunters. How exciting is it to work on a movie like that, but then kind of blows up in this like major way and becomes this phenomenon?
Um, I think I'm a little biased, and I'm proud of each one of our movies, and it's shocking in a way that it blew up the way that it did, but at the same time, I'm not that surprised because when I was working on it, I was just thinking everything about it was hitting, from the story to what we were doing in animation, to the music. Um, so it's been amazing to see, and still to this day when I hear Golden and it's still playing and as popular as it is, I'm really proud of that movie and what it's where it's gone.
And if you ever were to talk about it, what anime movie are you working on now?
What am I working on now?
Yeah.
Beyond the Spider Verse.
And what's been the process on that versus like Across?
I don't think I can speak too much to that right now, but yeah, we're always trying to make the best film we can. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, again, I would say congratulations on the success of Goat and obviously K-pop Demon Hunters and everything else you're doing at Sony Animation. Like every movie that the studio's done, it just amazes me on like both visual and story level. I think you guys make some really fun movies, and it makes sense why they resonate so much with people. So, thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, and I'm so glad that we're producing things that are bringing so much joy to so many people, and it's always great to hear compliments like that. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.